Hi, my name's Shane Niblock. I'm a property investor with a portfolio of over £1 million. This video is designed to show you BRRR buy to let method. And at the end, I will go through and run through numbers of property from my own portfolio so you understand this a bit more in depth. So really, let's start at the very beginning. What is BRRR buy to let? So BRRR stands for buy, refurbish, refinance. Buy to let is what it is, buying to then let out. Really, this here method and the importance of it and how it can be used to help you grow your own portfolio is the recycling and scalability of this process. Through using the BRRR buy to let method is you're able to recycle your initial capital you've invested onto your next project. And this allows you to be able to grow your portfolio quicker and faster. And hopefully, if you followed the process well and completed it well, it means that you can repeat the process over and over again with adding minimal amount of cash in each time. Let's start at the very beginning, finding a property. What type of property should you be looking for? This can really come in a lot of different methods, but really what you're looking for more than anything else is what people will describe as a motivated seller. Now, the reason why a motivated seller is important and how it can come in different forms is they want rid of that property and they're willing to get rid of that property at a below market value. And this motivated seller can be for a number of different reasons. It can be through personal or financial difficulties at the house, or it can be through a number of other issues, such as the property is tired, run down. Obviously, the government's changing tax laws and things like that there. They no longer want to be in it. They don't want to keep it up. Number of different reasons. But you're looking for that type of property, which is quite a bit below what the average price in that area is. The reason why this is important is because that refurb process on the BRRR. And this means that when you're doing the refurb process, which allows you to bring the property up in value because you've made the property better. So really, this is important to understand, to get your property up below that price. Buying at a good price is one of the most important elements you can do, and it is something you have to understand. So spend time, research and understand your area really well. Understand what the ceiling price of properties is around there, and so that's when you find a property that's seemingly below it, you have a good understanding that yes, it's below it for a good reason, and you have X amount of money to play with, whether it's 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand, whatever. You understand that amount of money's difference. So number 2 is understanding your refurb costs. This is where a lot of people, I find, actually fall into difficulties because it's one of the most hardest parts to understand with the BRRR process, the BRRR buy to let process. And the reason why it's hard to understand, there's a lot of nuances which comes from working with the builder. Obviously, when you're working, everyone can do research. You can look on Property Pal, Rightmove and all to find the right price, find a price that's below market value. But however, understand building costs, it tends to be something that's a bit more of a speciality. And while you can learn it through different courses and through people such as myself, really understand it. You don't get it until you do it a number of occasions, and builders are the best people to do it with. So when you're doing the refurb process, you will have a good guesstimation of it, but make sure you have a good gap. So you might think it costs 20 grand for a refurb, but make sure you have a good contingency of, let's say it's 5 or 10, even £10,000, because things can go wrong, and often things do go wrong when you're refurbing. You just don't know. So that's why it's really important to understand what your refurb cost is going to be and understand what you're going to do. And what I mean by that there, you might want to do everything. Trust me, I want to add on suites, do this here and do everything, but understand when you're renting what your target market will actually be looking for. So understand that your target market, do they need all this here? Do they need the fanciest of equipment? Do they need underfloor heating? If they don't, then sometimes it's not worth putting it in, and particularly when you're trying to recycle the cash later on, which is one of the things we talk about. Number 3 is when you're going to make your offer. Now, the reason why I put this in here is because it's really important to find a property, find it below market value, understand what the refurb cost is going to be, because then that allows you to negotiate your price. Now, ideally, you always want to get the house as low as you want. You have to remember, the other side is also wanting it probably as much as I can. So come to the agent, or if it's direct to the vendor, whoever you're selling it to, with the best proposition. Be realistic with your numbers. Goes in, listen, I estimate it's going to cost this much to do. This is the reason why I'm therefore bidding X below the level of price. So then that allows you to then turn up and go, seeing the serious bidder, you've done your numbers, and actually makes your offer look better. Whether you want to break it down into an email to them and break down some of the costs, whether it's a generalized refurb cost or however you want to do it, make that offer. Where you make your money often at times is buying at the right price. So once you've hit your number, you've hit your max, which you can actually afford to do and pay for it, don't fall into the trap of, oh, pay that little bit more, pay that little bit more. Because if you do this each time, that's your costs creeping up. Wait and find the right opportunity. If it's not, if it goes over your limit, it wasn't meant for you. So that's really important to understand. The next one is financing the deal. So you've got it sorted. What are you going to do? How are you going to pay for it? It's financing the deal also includes what the refurb is. Are you going to pay through it all through cash? Or are you going to then set it up working through some sort of broker and get a bridging loan to help pay for it? Now, this all depends on your personal circumstances and what you feel comfortable with. Obviously, if you have a limited amount of capital, which is, let's say, the vast majority of us, you're going to have to use bridging loan, and that's going to come through. Lots of different companies actually offer that there and actually offer it specifically for this method as well. But what you have to remember doing is that's going to have to be factored into your costs overall. If you're using your own cash, that's fine. It's actually a cheaper process, but you will have to understand that this is going to tie up more of your capital overall during this process, possibly for a longer period of time. So this process actually does take a bit of time, takes a bit of nuance, and this can be a bit more complicated, but a good broker and good knowledge of the sector can come and can be really helpful for you to understand how you're actually going to do this, and it'll work really well. And that's what I'm just saying to you. Take your time, understand what the process you're trying to do in terms of how you're going to finance it, and then you're able to put in the offer, afford the offer, and hopefully you get the house and you're able to move on to the next stage, which is refurb. Now, the refurb is, we've touched on before in terms of cost, but really this here is very important because no refurb is ever completely smooth. Some are smoother than others, some are issues, and happens it for every property investor's journey. But the refurb process is where you really hand over it over the builder. Now, in this process, you should be visiting the site, in contact with the builder, understand how long things are going to take, and really trying to understand what's all going through, how much refurb actually needs to be done as well. Is it a complete back to brick refurb, or is it just so your light touch, new kitchen, new bathroom? So if you're doing that there, it can make a big difference. And really, when you're doing this here, is you'll be presented with a lot of options, particularly the first time you're buying the property and refurbing the property. It's a bit overwhelming. I've been there, I understand it personally, it happens. So what I would really advise you to do is take your time, but focus on what your ideal tenant wants. Your ideal tenant is obviously whoever you plan to rent it out to, whether it's a young couple or professional. Think of what they want and design the house around that. If you're able to design the house around that, you're able to make decisions quicker and understand it. And as you grow and scale, you're able to then just repeat the same thing over and over again. So once you've got that refurb done, this starts to come to the fun part, renting it out. I can't emphasize enough here, make your property look good online. You're in a crowded marketplace, whatever way you can do it, pay that extra £50 to get a good photographer in, whatever, like maybe do a little bit of staging, just make sure that property stands out. Because if you make your property more appealing, the more people come in through the door. The more people that come in through the door hopefully means more people that are interested. The more people are interested means you get the choice of better tenant. So really that's important. You want to choose and be able to choose the best tenant for your property, because that means one, they will look after better, which means there's going to be lower maintenance costs overall. Two, if it's a property they fall in love with and absolutely love, they will also stay there longer, which means that actually you have less void periods and less costs associated when you're paying an agent to hand it over. Let's say on your journey, you've rented it out, you may be 6 months down the line or however long it is, you need to refinance it. This is the good part of where you can actually be able to pull money out from your house. Some people have been able to get it off where you get an all money out deal. They are very rare, let me tell you that they're all money out deals. So you're likely going to be leaving some of your original capital in, whether it's 5,000, 10,000, depends on your property and depends on what you've tried to do. But this is where you're able to pull money out whether through a mortgage company, pay everyone back, whether it's yourself, because if you've given cash, or pay people back through your bridging loan. And that's a really good point of the journey, because you're then able to start the process again, find a new house, go through all these stages again here. A quick run through before we go on to the real life example is basics. Find a property, understand what the refurb cost is going to be, make an offer, and make sure that offer is below market value, and where you have that bridge there between what the glass ceiling price is and what your offer is, so you can afford that refurb without going over. Finance the deal, whether that's through your own cash or through a bridging loan. Refurb, which is where you're really handing over to the builder, but make sure that the builder knows what you want, you understand the timescales, is able to keep to the timescales, and you're actually giving the tenant what they want and need without going overboard. Renting it out, making sure you're with good letting agent, you have good pictures, good quality, and it stands out online to allow you to get the best tenant. And then the most fun part is the refinance, where you finally get some of the money you've put in out and you're able to pay off some of the costs you have. Now, this is where I'm going to show you one of my own properties here, run you through some of the numbers so it kind of makes a bit more sense of where we're at. So for me, this is a house which I've recently purchased, so we're able to run through some of the numbers and understand what it's like, because it's been through that whole process. So the initial purchase price of this property was 102,500, legals and fees, so that includes the surveyor who came out, solicitors and stuff like that, there was roughly 2,500. The refurb was 20,000, which is actually slightly more than they originally budgeted, because the bathroom in this here had to be completely replaced, and there was rotten, some of the floorboards rotten, so we had to replace all of that there. So all in, it cost me roughly 125,000. Now, I was able to get a mortgage on this for 75% of the value at 155,000. So there's that gap I was telling you about between the all-in cost at 125 and then the ceiling price of where it is valued at 155. That £30,000 is that gap which I was talking to you about. So cash left in this deal though was 8,750. So out of all the money I originally put in, I only left 8,750 in it. This property rents out now at £975 a month, which is £11,700 a year I get paid from this property. After sort of mortgage interest, costs and allowances for management and maintenance, the net annual income I make from it is roughly £4,136. So what's really important as a property investor is your return on capital employed. So this is your net annual income divided by cash left in times 100. This is £4,136 divided by £8,750 times by 100. That means the return on capital employed I've got is 47%. So that means for every 1 point left in the deal, I'm getting paid 50p back per year. So roughly in 2 years, the deal is paid for itself. So overall, you're maybe looking for anywhere between 15 to 30% ROCE, return on capital employed, and this at 47% shows it's a really good deal. So I was really happy with this one. This is one that's continued to perform well. Tenants very happy, and it's something which I know will give me money back year and year and year, and it'll be a pillar of my property portfolio and something I look to have replicated and try to replicate continually. So really for me, that is the whole process. This is the BRRR buy-to-let strategy, your buy, refurbish, refinance strategy, and obviously buy-to-let combined. So really for me, the key for this here is buy right, refurb smart, refinance, and repeat it. This is a system that allows you to repeat over and over and over again, allows you to scale your portfolio and continue to grow it. Now, if you would like me to break down more deals like this here or other deals, feel free to leave a comment. Really what I would love for you to do is to like and follow. Helps us grow, helps us really sort of push the channel. If you're interested in working with me on a one-on-one basis or on a call, feel free to drop me a DM on Instagram and we're going to have a chat about how that can all work. But overall, really appreciate you watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. Yeah, feel free to tune in to the next one. Cheers. Bye.